Hello, denizens. Well, one of you denizens out there with years of network TV experience asked me to greenlight or not CBS's retooling of one of its dusty old favorites, Matlock. It actually feels strange diving back into the network TV pool I spent a good chunk of my life in. I, like many of you, stopped watching network TV a long while ago because it's mostly reality programs and boring police procedurals and absolutely nothing like it was back in the heyday. Sitcoms are rare, and it seems most of the action is happening on cable and streaming. But I like this idea, even though few of you will be interested in this show or watching this review. Heck, I love doing my TV Guide Fall preview shows. They go back to 1970. I invite you to check them out. I have said for years that network TV has to embrace YouTube. Dumping clips from The Late Show with Colbert does not count as synergy. Anyway, I'm calling the Kathy Bates Matlock a retooling because while it definitely borrows elements of the original show, it is a vastly different beast. The original starred Andy Griffith, debuted in 1986 and lasted 9 seasons. It was a combination legal drama and detective show highlighting the southern charm of Ben Matlock, senior citizen. Even though he charged $100,000 in 1980s dollars up front, he wasn't cheap, but his suits were, and he worked out of his house. The new Matlock borrows 3 things from the original. It stars a clever senior citizen with southern charm. She's also not overdressed. But instead of having her own practice, the show this time starts with her exploiting her wiles, which she describes in the show as the invisibility of a senior to infiltrate a major New York law firm, interrupt a meeting of the partners in hopes of getting a job. Beau Bridges, the eponymous senior partner, likes the cut of her jib and assigns her to the super-ambitious Olympia, a young black female lawyer with features as angular as a Picasso painting, who's suddenly having problems meeting her billables lately. She's also saddled with 2 mouthy Gen Z articling lawyers, Sarah and Billy. Oh, and Olympia is in the middle of divorcing Julian, who just happens to be Beau Bridges' character's son. So we get the location and the premise, a fish out of water, going to show these Manhattan snobs a thing or two about sleuthing and lawyering. Southern charm will melt the callous citizens of New York. There is an element of the old police show McCloud in there. Look it up, kids. The case of the week is about compensation for a man who was unjustly imprisoned for a whole bunch of years. I forgot. His daughter working hard to prove his innocence, even though she's cynical and emotionally distanced from her father. The challenge is that the father had a criminal background, which is not so good for the juried case. The case involves police cover-up, etc., etc. Olympia fumbling it, Matlock to the rescue, but it's actually a bit too cut and dried. The problem is the pilot is just way too many moving parts. It's going to be hard to get everything acclimatized. The scenes with Matlock don't have the deliberate pace and jousting that made the original a hallmark. Of course, Matlock wins the day. The crooked cop that has kept quiet for decades spills the beans like an instant. Huge settlement awarded to the abused. Beau Bridges is very happy. Everyone is happy. I'll get to the bizarre ending twist in a second. Overall, the show does suffer from pilotitis. It will not go down as one of the greatest pilots of all time. If you want a great legal pilot, check out LA Law. Look, the cast is good. Special mention goes to David Del Rio and Jason Ritter. Of course, Kathy Bates is a perfectly brilliant, great reason to tune in each week. Sky P. Marshall as Olympia is striking, but missed a beat for me. The show wants her to be a crusader, but I think she needs a bit more of a Joan Collins, Alexis Carrington kind of edge. Bridges' sole motivations seem to be more billings, which I got the sense was setting him up to be the bad guy. The show nails the location, Kathy Bates is the lure to hook us to watch it. The sales pitch for the show promotes her as the sweet old lady that's really a shark. Did not get to see the shark part in the pilot, but it's the pilot. I'm willing to wait for the supporting cast to gel, though. The courtroom stuff was not very dramatic, though the turn was handled well. That's where the original Matlock really shined. But yeah, it's a pilot. It's trying to pack so much stuff in. I mean, it's very glossy, well produced, and looked like a ton of money was spent on it. It has enough going for it as far as I'm concerned that I have no reservation in giving it the green light. But hold on one damn moment. I haven't told you about the ending. Matlock gets on a bus at the very end, goes to go home, but gets off after only just one stop and is greeted by a waiting limo. The driver welcomes her as Mrs. Kingston, not Matlock. The car pulls up to a mansion. She joins her husband, an almost unrecognizably large Sam Anderson. Their overfed grandson comes running up and greets them and hugs them. The scene then switches to a room with a murder board featuring the three main characters from the law firm. Kingston says something along the lines of, "One of these three hid documents that could have taken opioids off the market 10 years earlier. Think of how many lives it could have saved, including our daughters. I'm going to figure out who knew what and when, and then I'm going to put them in jail." Thank you. Thank you very much. Call my agent. Okay, TV sleuths, now we have our own mystery to solve. Let's process this ending in a logical manner. Why did they do this? What does it mean for the show? One of the questions a network executive has is, does the show have the legs to last 5+ seasons? I'm not entirely sure you could keep this twist going for longer than just, a few episodes. Was this a cliffhanger? Checking out IMDb, you can see that they got the standard initial order of 10 shows, but Beau Bridges is only in 3 episodes. So a scenario could be Bridges is the one who's dragged off to jail for the opioid thing. Jason or Elijah takes over the firm, and Matlock is rewarded with a job. The logic behind this is that they have invested, the studio has invested a massive amount of money in the law firm set. And she could also sort of keep the Matlock name just for the show's title's sake. Yeah, that's dumb. Option 2, Matlock is fired, whereby Olympia, Billy, and Sarah join up with Matlock and work out of her mansion. The Andy Griffith Matlock version worked out of his home, so that would make the show much more faithful to the original. But then why would she keep the Matlock name? The whole Matlock angle was based apparently on Kingston's mother, who loved the show. Yeah, that's dumb. If I recall, either Billy or Sarah bring up Perry Mason. Ha, right. Gen Z institutional knowledge does not go farther back than Rick and Morty. However, these are small potatoes. If this is a cliffhanger, then I'm all in. Green light all the way. And either home base location works fine, though I'm betting on keeping the big expensive set. One final item, gender swapping Matlock. This is a popular topic of aggrievement on YouTube. One might say the only topic. From a former network executive perspective, my view is, hey, we got Kathy Bates for the lead. She's married to a straight white male, and she's taking care of her grandkid. Oh, and she's not sporting a septum ring. All good. What do you think, TV sleuths? Which scenario makes the most sense to you? Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.